Okay. Good morning, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you're having a great day, a great week. Arms are being waved in anticipation of me asking, can you hear me? As almost always, let's get started on our backs. No surprises there. And as always, make this your class, right? Add what you want. Back off where you need to. And just listen to your body. Use your entire body to listen this morning. Let's take a long, full, deep inhale through the nose. And speaking of listening, let's put a little sound behind these exhales and find that reverberation. So exhale, and sigh it out, and you can kind of feel that vibration. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale all the way to the top. And sigh out the exhale. Feel it through your arms, down into your belly, your legs, maybe even. A couple more times following your inhale. And your exhale. And one more time, just like that. Inhale all the way to the top. Hold this one in. Get in a little bit more. And exhale. Let everything go, just dropping down and towards the floor. Nice, guys. And then from here, just easy dropping your chin from side to side, just beginning to open up through the neck and the shoulders. And maybe you're already very open there, in which case, congratulations to you. But if you have a little bit of tightness there, and who doesn't, this will not only maybe help open that, but just kind of identify one side from the other. And a few more times like that, whether you're just letting your head rest lightly or pressing down and towards the floor. Beautiful. And then coming back to center. Arms sweep up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers. Flip your palms to the ceiling. Straighten your legs if they're bent. And take your hands overhead behind you towards the back of the room. And stretch from tip to tip. I'm yawning. Wiggle out your feet. Roll out your ankles. Spread through your toes. Get a little bit longer here. Take one more full deep inhale. And this time on the exhales, bring the knees in towards the chest, interlace fingers, move to your shins, cross one ankle on top of the other, just the ankle, and rock back and forth from side to side. So inner thighs and the knees are touching. Ankles are crossed as you rock back and forth. Letting your shoulders fall away towards the floor. And just finding that space and room. Nice, guys. And then changing the cross of the ankles, other one on top and other one underneath. Nice. And then change the ankles again, and now draw some circles on the ceiling with your knees. So knees stay together, ankle one on top of the other, but you're drawing some circles here. And if you've got that right ankle on top, you'll probably get a little bit deeper into that right hip. And maybe changing directions. Nice. And then change the cross of your ankle. So other one on top, other one underneath, and draw your circles here. Tailbone, maybe it lifts off the floor slightly. Changing directions. Nice. And then coming back to center. So uncross the ankles, but keep your legs together and draw one big circle here. And then changing directions with those circles. And a couple more little variations on this. So knees moving away from one another. So two circles here, one hand on each knee. Draw those circles on the ceiling, peeling the knees apart. They touch the side walls, come back to center, and back in towards you. And then changing directions from there. Nice, guys. So keep your knees together and bent. And now draw circles, but don't use your hands. And try to keep the inner thighs kind of super glued here. So I've got the legs staying together and drawing a big circle, but we're going to also do it the other way too. So change directions. Nice, guys. Okay. Now draw those circles, if you didn't before, away from one another without using your hand. So 2 circles. And if you did 2 circles before, do 1 circle. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And if it doesn't, we're just opening the inner thighs. There's no, it ain't rocket science. Nice, guys. Okay. Land your feet on the floor, straighten your legs and relaxing here for a moment. Firm your thighs, arms overhead behind you once again. Nice. Now cross your legs and draw your knees in towards your chest. So my thighs are stacked, one knee on top of the other, and I'm hugging my knees in towards my chest. So no space in between the thighs, legs crossed ladylike, as they used to say. Roll your ankles around, spin your toes, spread through the feet. And maybe you're just hugging in. Maybe you're bringing your forehead towards your knees. Or if you want, draw some little circles here. Little circles are awesome. And you can change directions with those. So you can have sort of static stretches and you can have dynamic stretches, right? Like cat and cow is a perfect example of sort of this, just a nice, easy, dynamic stretch. So this is a little bit of both. We're holding a position, but we're changing that position around a little bit, right? So it's just legs crossing, not really anything fancy. Beautiful, guys. Change the cross of your leg. Other thigh on top, other one underneath, and draw those circles here. And again, you can hug in, you can bring your forehead towards your knee, you can draw the circles, whatever feels good to you. I'm just getting into that outer hip, outer glute space. Nice, guys. Okay, land your feet on the floor. If you had a bolster like me that was underneath your legs, move it off to the side. Feet at least hips distance apart with your toes slightly turned in, arms to the side in a T shape. Let's take some easy peasy windshield wipers here. So just dropping them back and forth from side to side, one side of the room to the other side of the room, and the chin can fall to the opposite shoulder. A few more times just like that, just opening up the tops of the thighs, getting a little massage along the tailbone. Beautiful. Knees will stay bent. Just bring it so that your inner thighs are just about touching. They can touch, inner ankles can touch as well. And then drop this from side to side. So getting a little bit higher up in the spine, the muscles along the spine into that erector spinatus area, right? Use your low belly to bring your knees back towards center. The chin falling to the opposite shoulder. Nice, guys. And then coming back to center. So from here, let's go ahead and stack the knees on top of the hips. Bring your shins parallel to the floor. And if you want to, go ahead and grab a block or a flat bolster or whatever you have in between the thighs. Maintain this L shape with your legs. So don't let your heels drift down to the floor. We're actually going to do that in a little bit. Take this from side to side. So drop this from one side of the room to the other side of the room, getting as close to the floor as you'd like to. And I'm pressing into the hand on the side that I'm taking it as my little outrigger, right? To stabilize so I don't spill over to the side. Try to keep the opposite shoulder a little sticky towards the floor. Nice. And then come back to center. Go ahead and remove that prop if you had it. We're going to do a few more of those, but I'm going to ask you to extend at least the top leg maybe both if you want to, out to the side. So as I drop knees right, I'm extending the left leg out to the side and back to center and extending out to the other side, taking the right leg and back and forth. You get the idea. Think of kicking the back wall with that extended leg. And of course you can, if you want to, and it's not more than you're looking for this morning, you can take both legs out to the side as well. Mix it up. Collect them all. Nice, guys. And then come back to center. Land your feet on the floor. Feet hips distance apart, excuse me, or a fart. Some bridge lifts here. Press down your feet. Lift your hips up towards the ceiling. And lay your spine back down towards the floor. And again, press down, rise up. Feel the four corners of the feet press in towards the ground as your chest moves towards your chin. And lowering back down. A few more times like that. If you want to incorporate sweeping the arms alongside your ears, you can. Or just keep them there as a little stability, pressing into the floor with the backs of your arms if you'd like to. Just a couple more of those. Nice. And then let's land the hips on the ground. From here, the feet are going to hover, toes just off the floor. My knees are still bent and my toes are just a few inches away from the floor. Okay. Straighten your legs towards the ceiling. Hold here. My feet are a little bit wider than hips distance, but whatever feels good to you. And then bend the knees and touch the floor with your toes. Right. And then straighten the legs and just tapping the ground. And then straighten the legs and lower and tap and lower. A few more times just like that, tapping and lowering. A few more of those. Nice. And then bend the knees so you're just touching the floor with your knees. I'm sorry, with your toes. Keep the knees bent the way they are. Now just pull your knees in towards your armpits and then touch the floor again with bent knees and touching the toes. Okay? And then knees in and tap, knees in and tap. And maybe your tailbone lifts slightly off the floor. Maybe it doesn't. That's the maybe part. I've got my hands sort of pressing my fingertips in for a little bit of stability. A few more times just like that. So really this equatorial region, hip flexors, and then land your feet on the floor. From here, straighten your legs away from you. And a mini Shavasana here, just about 10 breaths. Breathe into this space. Feel the openness that you're creating by engaging those muscles and then letting them drop back down towards the floor. Nice, guys. Okay, so from here, I'm going to ask you to shift your hips, nice lateral side stretch. Shift your hips to the right. Take your feet to the left and then cross your left ankle on top of the right. Your legs are straight, the hips are pinned towards the floor. Arms overhead behind you, the left hand grabs your right forearm, take it up and over to the left. So this big crescent moon shape here. Breathing into this seam that runs through the knife edge of your right hand, all the way down the right arm, the right ribs, all the way down to that tuxedo pant seam running down the right leg. And a couple more times, just like that. A few more rounds of breath. Nice. And then let's switch it out. Hips to the left, feet to the upper right corner, change the cross of your ankles. Left hip stays heavy towards the floor. Right hand grabs the left forearm. And again, you're feeling this stretch, knife edge of your left hand running down the left arm, the left ribs, down that left tuxedo seam of your left leg. Tuxedo, I always think of Tennessee tuxedo, penguin, and was it Chumley? Was the walrus? Don Adams. I think Don Adams was the most pigeonholed actor ever. He was Get Smart, and then he couldn't even get away from that. He had to run into animation. and basically be Get Smart as a Penguin, which is great if you run that character for 14 years, but I think that series was on for what, 3 years? And loving it. One more round of breath here. And exhale and release. Nice. Uncross the ankles, get your hips back in towards the center of your mat. We're gonna come up and catch a little boat pose here, guys. So rock up maybe a couple of times just to find a bit of momentum. And then catch your boat pose if you want to adjust yourself on your mat at all. So sitting tall, and we're using these muscles here as well as low belly muscles. So this is the whole area that we've been focusing on so far. You can extend your arms out or keep your hands the way they are. And then I'm going to ask you, you can, if you want to, tap the toes and then straightish the legs, and then tap the toes and straightish the legs. And again, you can keep your hands on the backs of the thighs, but maintain this kind of pop of the jersey, this lift of the heart. Tap and your knees on a swivel. For 3, for 2, for 1. Nice, guys. Land your feet on the floor, come down onto your forearms, a little bit of shoulder opener as we continue to get into the space by dropping the knees from side to side. So I'm on my forearms here as I drop my one knee to the inside edge of the opposite foot. And I'm going to tilt my pelvis back towards me at the center and then tilt it away from me as I take it out to the side. So it's like, right? You can make that noise or not. A few more times just like that. Nice, guy. Okay, from here, press your way up, meet me in tabletop position, hands and knees, and go right into your hip circles here. So shoulders stack, fingertips press down, all those good things you know to do. And sending yourself around. Sit bones towards your heels, shoulders out past your wrists, all of those good things. Changing directions whenever that feels about right. Nice, guys. And then back to center in a child's pose. Big toes touch, hips is down towards the heels. Bring your foreheads a touch and breathe. Deep inhales and deep exhales. Nice. So come back up to the tabletop position. Bring your hands slightly closer towards one another. I'm going to ask you to send that left leg back and behind you, and then step the left foot to the outside of the left hand and come into this lizard pose here. So a couple more stretches before we begin to move. Feel free to keep that back knee grounded or lift the back knee off the floor and roll around and ball the back foot. And keep your heart pulling forward, even if you're dropping your head, that's okay, but just keep that sternum extending out in front of you. Beautiful. Okay, step back plank. Lower your knees. Let's do the other side. Right foot steps to the outside of the right hand. And that right arm buddies up to the inside of that right leg. And again, knee can lift. Roll around. Nice. And then step back plank, hips up and back, downward facing dog. So change the positioning of your hands to accommodate your down dog. Press down the index finger, thumb side of the hand, keep those outer upper arms spinning towards the back of the room. Hollow out your armpits. Send your butt up towards the ceiling where the wall and ceiling meet at the back of the room. And then you can piston this out or take the hips from side to side, whatever feels good. And then let's widen and shorten our dog so that our feet are pressing down towards the floor. So I've got my feet entirely grounded here. I'm going to walk my hands back towards my feet and take this whitish leg forward fold to the back of the mat. You shake out your hands like you ran out of paper towel, sway from side to side, finger paint the floor, whatever feels good to you. Deep inhales and deep exhales. Okay. So we're going to do these sort of little malasana squats towards at the back of the yoga mat. So keep your feet wide-ish, turn your toes out, drop your hips towards the floor, and you can use your hands to kind of stabilize you as you drop into this little squat. And then push your butt up towards the ceiling and take your nose toward your belly button. And then lower your hips back down, take your gaze forward. And then push the floor away, send your butt up towards the ceiling, crown drops, tuck your chin towards your chest. A few more times like that. And you can go as low as your knees say so, right? And then push your way back up. And one more time. Okay, so we're going to do a few more of those. And depending on how your knees feeling and how those felt, you'll either keep your hands assisting you here or drop into your malasana and bring your hands to heart center, right? And then push the floor away and kind of reach your hands back towards the back of the knee. And then bring yourself back into this little squat, squeeze your knees in towards your elbows. And again, push the floor away, squeeze your glutes, take your hands back, still chin tucks. And one more time, just like that. You could be doing this with your hands or not. And then push the floor away. Nice. And then staying as you are, folded, widen your feet, interlace your fingers behind your back, and get a little shoulder stretch while you're in this fold. So taking your knuckles towards the back wall and then the ceiling and then the front of the room. Maybe you rest your ribs on your thighs, maybe you keep a little bit of space there. Take one more full deep inhale here. Stay folded, exhale, release your hands to the floor. Walk yourself forward in your plank. So knees lifted or lowered, whatever that means in your plank, but shoulders stacked, firm through the thighs. Take one more deep inhale. Let's lower ourselves down to the floor, whether you want to drop your knees or not. Whether you want to go one piece or drape yourself is up to you. Pull your heart through into a cobra as high or low as you want to be, with as much or little pushing away the floor with your hands. Press into the feet, your thighs firm and your kneecaps lift. And just get long space between the earlobes and shoulders. So drag them both in opposite directions. And maybe you float your hands off the floor and recruit those muscles along your spine. Let's all plant the hands, push the floor away, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Deep inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. Let's send the left leg up, back and behind, bend the knee and stack your hips. And then step the left foot up between your hands, coming into a lunge. So the back knee stays lifted, front knee stacks on top. You can float your arms alongside your body or stay exactly as you are. So from this lunge, we're going to rock back a little bit. So I'm going to keep my hands. You can also grab your blocks. Keep your hands grounded. Straighten the front leg, drive your right heel towards the floor, and pull your left toes back towards your shin. Okay? And then come back into your lunge, and then rock back again. Back into your lunge, and rock back. Back into your lunge, one more time, and rock back. This time, come through into your lunge and drop the right knee down towards the floor. Maybe untuck the back toes, reach up with your arms, lift up your heart, find your Anjane. Full deep inhale and full exhale. One more cycle of breath here. Exhale your hands to the floor. Step back to plank, whether that means you lift that right knee and bring the left foot back to meet the right, or you just take the left knee back to meet the right knee. Find your plank, inhale, come forward. Exhale, lower yourself down to the floor. Pull your heart through. Send your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Right leg up, back and behind you. Bend the knees, stack the hips. Step the foot up between the hands. Front knee stacks on top. Breathe into this space, finding your lunge. Choose to stay here for these few rounds of breath or float the arms back alongside your body if you did so on the other side and want to here. Deep inhale here. Exhale, rock back. Drive that left heel towards the floor like a warrior 1 foot as you pull those right toes back towards the shin and then come forward into your lunge and rock back. And forward into the lunge and rock back. And one more time, forward to lunge and rock back. This time coming forward into your lunge, lower the left knee to the floor, maybe the back toes on top. Push the floor away. Reach up, eyes up, look up, offer up your heart, sink your hips. Use that back leg as your rudder to stabilize for one more inhale. Exhale, hands to the floor. Find your plank again. Knee can lift and right foot meets left. Lower yourself down to the floor. Inhale into your back bend. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Let's travel to the front of the mat where there's a lot of little steps, a hop. I'd like to pop up on fingertips and then Fred Flintstone my toes up towards my thumbs. And fold. Shake out your hands again. We're going to ragdoll our way up towards standing, one vertebra at a time. Reach up, look up, watch fingertips touch. Pull hands to heart center. Hands behind your back. Once again, other thumb on top if you would. Puff up your chest, keep your feet wide, hinge and fold. Full deep inhales. And full exhales. One more cycle of breath here. Stay folded, just release your hands to the floor. Left foot stays here, step your right foot back, lunge twist, right hand plants, left arm swim it up towards the ceiling. You can always drop that back knee down towards the floor. You can always move that left foot out to the side if it feels like you're putting too much pressure on this left knee. One more full inhale here. Exhale, release this twist. Let's take a quarter turn to the right. Turn your right toes from 12 to 1 o'clock. Bend in that right knee for Skandasana here at the back of your yoga. One more cycle of breath here. And then on your inhale, press down and rise up, quarter turn to the front of your mat. Pyramid pose here. So let's hop that back foot in about a third or a quarter of the way so that both legs are straight, both heels are grounded. I'm pulling my heart forward, melting out and over the front leg. Any variations you want to take, including using your blocks here, walking your hands back. But keep that left hip in and try not to dump onto that front thigh. Just kind of melt out and over. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Heart lifts on an inhale, step up to the front of the mat and fold. Right foot stays here, step your left foot back. Lunge twist, front knee stacks. Right arm swims up towards the ceiling. Or just the other side. Reach through the fingertips, push the floor away. That right hip, both hips actually kind of want to drop down here. So pop them up a little bit for one more inhale. Exhale and release. Quarter turn to the left. Left toes turn to the back of your mat. Bend in that left knee, straighten through that right leg. Come onto the heel of the foot if you'd like to. Extending through the inner arch of that right foot. Try to keep that left heel rounded or close to the floor. And then inhale, press down, rise up. Quarter turn to the front of the mat. Spin on the heel of the right foot, the ball of the back foot. Pyramid pose here. Melt out and over. Full deep inhales. Full exhales. One more cycle of breath. Beautiful. Lift your heart away from your thighs, step up to the front of the mat and fold. Press down, rise up, reach up. Hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale and fold out and over. Halfway up, flat back here. Ironing board of the spine. Crown of the head lifts away from the floor, nice and forward. Exhale, fold, step back plank. Take a vinyasa or move straight to your resting pose, whichever you prefer. Downward facing. Either from hands and knees or down dog, we're gonna bring that left knee to the back of the left arm 3 times. So straight up and back with that left knee. And then as you come forward for your shoulders, stack, that left knee touches the back of the arm. And up and back. Right leg's nice and strong, like plank. As you come forward. And after that third one, we'll send it up and back. Step up between the hands, crescent pose. So widen your stance so balance doesn't take you out of this one right away. Reach up, full inhales and full exhales. And then bring your arms out to a T shape and take them into Garudasana with the left arm on top of the right. So the left arm sweeps on top of the right and then weave your way into it. If you can't quite weave, then just bring your arms to touch, giving yourself a hug. So here's where we're going. We're going to step to the front of the mat and cross the right leg on top of the left. Full eagle. Maybe you bind it behind if you can. And if you can't, ain't no thing but an eagle wing. Maybe sink into a little bit. And then we'll play with balance a little bit. So keep the arms as is. Unwind that right leg and tilt yourself forward. If the ground is a little precariously positioned and far away, you're going to bring your hands to the floor. Otherwise, let's go all release the arms. I'm in this little warrior 3. Or standing L. And then we're going to step it back and come back into our crescent. Arms reach up. Deep inhale here. Exhale, hands to the floor. Side plank on the right side. You know your variations, which include dropping the right knee down and stepping the left foot back. Or both feet stack, lift away from the floor. Hip stack, rib stack. One more cycle of breath. We meet in forearm plank. So maybe you come down onto the left forearm and then the right to meet it. Or just make your way into it. Hips about shoulder height. Push the floor away strong through your legs. Holding here for 3. Push the floor away for 2. Navel to spine for 1. Sphinx pose. Lower your knees, untuck your toes, forearms to parallel with your shoulders stacked on top of your elbows. Gaze forward. If this is too intense, you can always move your elbows slightly out in front of you, but this should feel okay. A lift of the heart here. Breathe up and down your spine. One more cycle of breath. Hands transition back to your cobra. Hips up and back. Down dog. Deep inhale through the nose. Open up, exhale. So however you did the other side, hands and knees are down dog. We're going to bring that right knee to the back of the right arm 3 times. So send it up and back. Knee to elbow or arm. Up and back. Give it a tap. Be sure your shoulders stack on top of your wrists as you pull forward. And after that third one, you'll step it up between the hands. Rise up into your crescent pose here. I want to feel like this front knee is driving forward as if there's a block and I'm pushing it into the wall. Middle of the kneecap out and over, second, third toe. Arms reach up. Find your crescent, find your balance. Nice. And then this time, arms to T shape. The right arm crosses on top of the left. Come into that angle. Use your breath to open up more space in the upper half of your body. And maybe it's a couple steps along the way as you come into that eagle, bring the left leg on top, or it's one step, leg cross above the knee, or at the shin, whatever your balance is telling you this morning. So if balance ain't your jam, you're just going to unwind this left leg and use the toes as a little bit of a rudder for your balance pose. Otherwise, whoop, drag your toes up the back wall as you come into your balance variation, whatever happens. Arms unwind, step back to your crescent. Reach up, shoulders soften for one more inhale. Hands to the floor. Side plank here. Left side, whatever you did on the other side, more than likely you're doing here. For those of you stacking your feet, extend through the inner arch, pull the pinky side of the feet back towards you. One more cycle of breath. Forearm plank. Maybe come down to the right forearm and then the left forearm. Holding your forearm plank here, whether you've got knees lifted or lowered. Full deep inhale. Full exhale. One more cycle of breath. Sphinx pose, toes untucked, forearms to parallel. Breathe into this space. And again, you can always dial it down by bringing your elbows slightly out in front of you. But you can also bring your elbows out in front of you, then push the floor away, straightening through the arms, so long as it doesn't feel too jammy and compressed in your low back space. Again, just breathe up and down the spine. And we keep the lift of the head and the heart. Bring your hands back towards your cobra positioning. Elbows pretty much stacked on top of the wrist. Push the floor away, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Come forward into your plank and then down into your hands and knees tabletop. I'm going to turn so that you can see me. I'm sending this right leg out to the side, planting into my left hand and reaching my right arm up towards the ceiling. And a bind here. Slide that right hand into your left hip crease. Breathe into this space. One more cycle of breath. Exhale, drop the gaze, release the hand. From here, and I'm going to turn back again. From here, hands plant, sweep that right leg back and behind you. Hug your front ribs to back. We're going to bend the right knee and then a few donkey kicks as you send the right foot up towards the ceiling. And you should feel this work the glute and the hammy. Nice. So keep that knee bent the way it is. The left hand, find your balance, the left hand's going to reach back. You'll either just stay here, reaching back, or maybe you catch the top of the shin, kick the foot in towards the ceiling, get that yummy shoulder stretch. And then choose to stay here. A little variation is to just bend a little bit deeper in that left knee, bringing the right knee to the floor. And then down onto the forearm. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Release the back foot. Come back up to the hands and knees, tabletop position. And a few yummy hip circles here, cows and cats or whatever, before we do the other side. So just kind of reset, shake out the Etch a Sketch, all those good things. Okay, so from your hands and knees, left leg out to the side, toes pretty much in line with the knee. Right hand or fist plants, left arm reaches up. And then that left hand into your right hip crease. Shoulder stack. Breathe into the space. And full deep inhales. And stay for the exhales. One more cycle of breath here. Exhale and release that little bind. Hands plant, sweep the left leg back and behind you. Plug the thigh bone in. Hug your front ribs to back. And then a few of those little donkey kicks or mule kicks, whichever you prefer. Either the pure breed or the cross between the two. Kicking that left foot up to the ceiling, right? You know, that's, I guess the only way you can make a mule is from a horse and a donkey. I guess. Used to be that way. And then we'll keep the knee bent. Right arm reaches back. And maybe you can't touch it. Maybe you just stay here the whole time, maintaining that bend. Otherwise, catch the foot, top of the shin, kick the foot in the hand, get that yummy stretch. Oh, it feels so good through the right side of your neck. And then again, choose to stay here, or you're slowly bringing that left knee to the floor, down onto your left forearm. Then you can really kind of get into that forearm stretch. Wherever you are, it's one more inhale. Exhale and release. Meet me in forearm plank once again. Wherever you are, however you have to get there. Forearm plank. Holding this one, maybe changing your hands. And then lower down to Sphinx once again. So we're going to peel ourselves away from the floor here. I've got my toes untucked for these first few. Inhale, look forward, maybe look up a little bit. Exhale, peel hips and belly and ribs and thighs away from the floor. And lower back down, take the gaze forward. And exhale, and peel. And again, your inhale and your exhale. And one more time, inhale and exhale. Hold here, not the breath, the posture, unless you also want to lift the knees away from the floor and come back into your forearm plank for 3, for 2, for 1. All the way to the floor. Create a little pillow with your forearms crossed. Turn your head to one side. Bend your knees, hips distance apart. Take your feet across from one side of the room to the other. And then to the other side. Turn your head to the other side. Nice, guys. And then come back to center. From here, take your left arm out to the side, straight out to the side with palm facing down for a shoulder stretch. Right hand into a chaturanga on the right side. I'm going to turn my head resting on my left cheek. Bend my right knee bends, roll onto my left hip, and plant that right foot behind me. So I'm on my left hip, my left leg is straight, my left arm is extended out to the side. My head is resting, so don't lift your head. And my right hand can stay here, it can reach behind you if you want to. You could also bend that left knee if you'd like to, or just move the right foot away, or bring it back. And if there's too much compression in your shoulder or elbow, just flip your left palm to face up. One more inhale here. Exhale, let's take it to the other side. So rolling through, right arm extends straight out to the side, palm facing down. Turn to rest on your right cheek, so you're looking left. Left hand chaturanga. Left knee bends. Plant that left foot behind you, rolling onto your right hip. Your left toes are pointing towards the back of the room. Again, you're resting your head with a slight tuck of the chin. And always breathing. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Nice. Roll back onto your bellies, hands plant. Push the floor away, hips up and back, down dog. Either drop down into your child's pose. Feel free to take a final vinyasa. And then we all meet in that child's pose. Hands back toward your feet this time with your palms facing up. Wiggle it out. Nice, guys. Okay, so meet me on your backs. And as you know, that's the shorthand for either just roll onto your back or come down to a boat pose, or often we do 10 boats, a half boat. So drop down, come back up. That's 1, 2, 3. You can be just resting on your back. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then meet on your backs. A couple of windshield wipers again, just to kind of reset, let everything go. And then interlace your fingers behind your head. Bring the soles of your feet to touch in Baddha Konasana. Keep your feet as they are. You're just going to lift your chest and face towards the ceiling with your elbows out to the side. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now keep your head and arms grounded. Press the soles of your feet into one another and lift your feet away from the floor. For 10, 9, try to keep your elbows out to the side. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Option here just to stay in Baddha Konasana, one hand on the head, heart, one hand on the belly, and breathe, or put those two together. For 10, 9 to my elbows coming towards my knees to my elbows. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Wherever you are, hands to the outsides of your knees. Knees come in towards one another. Thread the needle here. Right ankle on top of the left thigh. Just 30 seconds on each side. You have options along the way. Options include, do I keep my hands assisting that left leg, or do I not use the left leg? Not use the hands. Whether you want to engage, even if you have your hands on the back of the left thigh. Some people engage and pull that left knee in, or you can just let it left foot dangle. You can extend the left foot towards the ceiling. You can stay static, rock back and forth. Some of you go deeper, baby cradle that left leg, whatever feels good to you. One more cycle of breath here. And let's switch to the other side. So bicycle pedal that right leg out, and a little bit of circulation back in. Left ankle on top of the right. Draw the knee in towards your chest. And again, all of those choices that you had. And sometimes just instinctually where you go the first time is where you want to be, right? Any variations you took on the other side, do so here. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Let's take a bridge pose here. For this one, I'm going to grab a block the medium way, put it in between my thighs, just above my knees. Give me something to keep the legs where I want them. Press down, rise up. You can do whatever you want here, including placing a block or bolster underneath your hips and sending them up towards the ceiling. But I just want a little bit of that rain stick effect of just spilling some of that energy back up the spine. One more round of breath here, guys. And then lowering self back to the floor whenever you're ready. Final twist here. Straighten your left leg away from you. And if you're still enjoying your inversion or whatever, just catch up. I'm going to hug that right knee in towards my right armpit. And then on an exhale, sweep the knee across the body. Spill over onto your left hip, bump your hips to the right so that the tailbone, heel, and crown of the head are all in the same. And then whenever you're ready, taking it back to center and the other side, right leg extends, hug left knee in, take it across the body. One more cycle of breath. Coming back to center, hips in the middle of the mat. Any finishing pose that feels good to you, if it's just a hug of the knees in towards your chest. Happy baby, two happy babies. But knowing that the world is waiting for you, even if you have to hustle out, to give yourself just 5 to 10 breaths in Shavasana. Just that forced relaxation, receiving your practice. One last audible sigh as you let it all go. Nice, guys. Start to bring a little bit of awareness back in the body. Wiggling the fingers, the toes, the wrists, and the ankles. If it feels right, reach your arms right behind you and get nice and long as you point the toes and drive through the heels. Stretch out the body, invite in all of this awareness in space. And then however it serves you, make your way up to a seated position that feels good to you. Whether you want to roll to one side or rock your way up. Sitting nice and tall, bring hands to heart center. Seal in this practice with this gesture of gratitude, bowing in towards yourself. Thank yourself for showing up on your mat, your fellow yogis for sharing this space. And as always, I thank you guys for coming out as well. Light and life in me honors and recognizes light and life in you. Namaste. Thank you, guys. Let's see, how do I do this? There we go. Okay. I was recording that class because, oh, it's still recording me.